Welcome to the Watershed Learning Network. In this presentation, you will learn about the laws and regulations that govern watersheds. In the U.S., watersheds are regulated at the federal, state, and local levels, and we'll begin our discussion. The primary federal organization monitoring water quality in the United States is the Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, and they rely on the Clean Water Act as their primary regulatory statute to monitor and regulate water quality in the United States. First proposed in 1948 as the Federal Water Pollution Control Act, then amended and renamed to its current status in 1977, the Clean Water Act was one of the U.S.'s first environmental laws. The Clean Water Act has 6 titles or components. Title I created a grants program to pay for water quality research for scientists to help generate the data needed for the regulating agencies to govern water bodies. Title II specifically set aside funds for states to construct water treatment facilities so that communities could treat their wastewater. Originally, the Clean Water Act committed federal government to pay 75% of the projected cost for state and local government, but this number was reduced by Congress to 55% in 1981. Title III is one of the most extensive components of the Clean Water Act. It outlines standards for sewage and other pollution discharges, water quality, and provides guidelines for the technical monitoring of such standards. It also set up the National Water Quality Inventory to keep track of watersheds and as they compare to these standards. Importantly, Title III also set up avenues of enforcement of its standards, including the different types of fines and reprimands for noncompliance. Title IV created a system of permits and certificates required for industry to discharge any pollutants into water so that the EPA can ensure that no more than the allowable amount of pollution gets into a watershed. Title V ensures that any citizen has the right to sue another citizen or the EPA itself if they believe the Clean Water Act was not properly enforced in a case. It also protects EPA employees from being fired or adversely affected if they report a failure of the EPA to enforce the Clean Water Act. This was often called the whistleblower provision. Title VI replaced Title II in 1987 as the primary source of funds for watershed management projects for state and local government. States also have their own regulatory agencies that govern and manage watersheds. Part of what these agents do is hold corporations, individuals, and other agencies accountable to set standards under federal regulations such as the Clean Water Act. State governments also have the right to enact their own environmental legislation and standards, which their state agencies then enforce. States often have special needs for watershed management dependent upon their particular topography and environmental conditions or climate, so the states are using these to help set standards that fit their watersheds. For example, in the state of Georgia, the primary regulating agency is the Georgia Environmental Protection Division. The Georgia Water Quality Control Act was enacted to govern the quality and quantity of water, such as regulating stormwater, in the state of Georgia. It is monitored and enforced by the EPD. The EPD also has a specific branch under its division, the Watershed Protection Branch, that deals specifically with ensuring the health of watersheds in Georgia. Local governments, often at the county level, also have their own regulatory agencies to address the specific needs and concerns of their communities. For example, in the City of Atlanta, the City of Atlanta Department of Watershed Management regulates water and sewer services, ensures regulations are being followed, and carries out programs to improve watershed health in the city. The department's Clean Water Atlanta Plan is a comprehensive, multi-program initiative to improve water quality in Atlanta through capital construction programs and enhance operation of the city's drinking and wastewater systems. Non-governmental organizations, or NGOs, also contribute to monitoring watersheds. While they don't have the ability to enact and enforce laws, NGOs do important work within and alongside the community to support conservation and monitoring. For example, the Chattahoochee Riverkeeper, or CRK, is an NGO that advocates for and takes action to protect the health of the Chattahoochee River, a source of drinking water, recreation, and wildlife habitat in Atlanta, Georgia. Government agencies are often understaffed and overloaded with regulatory work, so NGOs like the CRK can help address these needs. The CRK has an enforcement program where they inspect hundreds of industrial sewers and streams, report their findings directly to property owners, and help them form an attainable management plan. CRK also uses legal avenues to protect watersheds in Atlanta. Historically, CRK sued the City of Atlanta for noncompliance with the Clean Water Act, which helped bring the city back into compliance with federal regulations. CRK also advocates to politicians about the importance of our watersheds and their protection in the legal system, and lobbies in state and local governments for the protection of local watersheds.